Hello YouTube! Alright, it's Chef Jess back in the kitchen, and today we're doing a bit of R&D with Panaceg, which is our egg replacer that we make here at the Academy. So, I thought it would be a good idea to show you guys how to make a really simple sponge cake, and I went online and I went and found Mary Berry's Victoria sponge cake, and I know that she's very famous in the UK and lots of places around the world because she was on the British Bake Off, and I know that that show was very popular, especially with bakers all around the world. So I thought, why not let's veganize it here in the Vegan Gastronomy kitchen. So I've weighed out all my ingredients and we're going to get started. I'm going to show you how easy it is using the egg replacer Panaceg. So I'm just going to move you guys a little bit closer so you can see what we've got going here. Alrighty, so it's a really simple recipe, and it's kind of similar almost to like a pound cake. So when this cake is made, traditionally what you would do is you would weigh out your eggs and then you would weigh out your other main components at the same weight. But of course, instead of eggs, because we are vegan school here, we are using the Panaceg, and that's our vegan egg replacer, which replaces all 8 major functions of the whole egg. And I went ahead and mixed that up, so we're doing an equivalent of 4 eggs. And then to that, I have some cake flour, some self-raising cake flour, which I did 225. And then the same for, it called for caster sugar, but it's something that's really hard to get here in Spain. So I'm using actually icing sugar, so it's nice and fine, and it's going to melt in there. I am using same quantity of margarine, so this is dairy-free margarine, just a soft one. You just want to make sure that you use one that's about 70% fat. And use some raising agent, so we're using some baking powder, and I've got 1 teaspoon there. And I'm actually going to be adding, this isn't in the recipe, but a little bit of vanilla just for flavor. So I just went online, found this recipe. All I did was replace the egg with the Panaceg, and I mixed it up and let it sit for about 15 minutes. And this recipe is to go ahead with my Panaceg egg. And because this recipe does contain a lot of fat, you really do need a good egg replacer, because what that is going to do is it's not only going to bind like most traditional vegan egg replacers, but it's also going to coagulate, it's going to give the texture, it's also going to do some leavening as well, some emulsification. So there's a lot of things going on. So, alright, so we've got our egg replacer in there. I just put the vanilla. So now I'm going to go ahead and put my dairy-free margarine in. This is just like a Flora one that I get. It's really inexpensive. Nothing crazy. And then with my dry ingredients, I'm just going to get myself oh, there's my oven. It's ready to go. Some baking paper, and I'm just going to sift onto my baking paper just so I don't have flour flying everywhere, with my icing sugar and my baking powder. So we're going to sift all of that. It's a nice handy tip. And I was recently in London in February with a very dear friend of mine, Sandra D. Shout out to you, Sandra D. And we went and had high tea there, and I was very inspired to make some British cakes because I absolutely had the most incredible time. And there's nothing better than an afternoon tea with all your little petit fours and little cakes. So we're going to make this into kind of like little finger sandwiches, but they're going to be the Victoria sponge cake. Alright, so in goes our dry ingredients. And I'm just using my paddle attachment, and I'm going to stick that on. And it says in the recipe that all I need to do is mix this up until it becomes a drop consistency. So we're going to mix it up and have a look and see whether we can get that consistency that we are looking for. So just starting on low here, we don't want all our flour flying everywhere. because it is such a classic. Oh, we're almost mixed up. So let's do a little scrape down here. Make sure it's catching everything on the bottom. And all the ingredients that we used today were really, really simple things that you can just find in your local grocery store. So super, super inexpensive. Oops. Just giving that a nice mix. Make sure that margarine is incorporated. Alright, let's take a look here. So we have our drop consistency. So in the recipe it calls to put it in 2 round 20 centimeter cake tins. But as I said, I really wanted to make these almost like kind of like finger sandwiches, but sweet ones. So I'm going to just put it into this tray, which I've just greased with some more margarine, and I just put down the bottom some baking paper just so it doesn't stick and it's much easier to get out. And I've just set my oven, preheated it to 160 with a fan, or if you don't have a fan in your oven, just put it up a little bit higher, like 180. So I'm just going to pop this straight in. So how quick was that? That was like, what, like 2 minutes mixing it all up? Putting all our ingredients in. And we're going to fill this. Traditionally it would be filled with strawberry or raspberry jam and sometimes buttercream or cream. But I thought we'd do a bit of a combination. So I'm going to make a buttercream, but we're going to fold through some vegan whipped cream to kind of lighten up a bit. So, yeah. So we're just going to spread this out. And actually, I think using the icing starch in the icing sugar, which is going to give a really nice light texture. You actually buy, sometimes you can go to the supermarket and find sponge cake flour. And it's basically just cake flour, like self-raising cake flour with a little bit of cornstarch. So I think actually using that icing sugar might be a bonus for us today. So we'll see how it turns out. I'm just using an offset spatula here, just leveling it all out. Because this cake doesn't tend to rise on, it's going to rise quite evenly. So we want to make sure that it's nice and flat. It's quite a thick, it's one of the thicker batters because there is so much butter in there, or margarine in our case. Alright, so it's looking good. So I'm just giving it a little bit of a jiggle, give it a bit of a tap. Alright, so that is ready for the oven. I'm going to stick that in there. Because this cake is a little bit thinner, I think it will take maybe a little bit less time than in the recipe. So I'm going to give it a check after about 20 minutes and see how it's looking before I open the door and check. And then we're going to give this guy a cool down, and then I'll catch you guys soon and we'll do the filling and I'll show you how to cut and everything. And then we can serve it. Alright guys, thanks for watching. If you have any questions, just drop them into the comment section below. And yeah, this was the Mary Barry recipe for the Victoria sponge cake, which was the one that they did on the Greatest British Bake Off. So yeah, if you want to find that recipe and give it a go and veganize it with the Panis egg, which is available on the Vegan Gastronomy website in sample sizes, or you can head over to Free From That for production sizes, and I'll leave all the information in the comment section below as well. Okay, I'll see you guys soon. Bye!